everyone, it's Jane. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you could stop by for a little bit. I am working on a guest design team project for JaneybJournals, and these are her lovely, digitals that I downloaded. It has a wonderful botanical and lavender lilac theme to it. And these are just a few of the pages. I've already got them prepped to go into the signatures, but I thought I would show you a few of those pages. Very nice, feminine, kind of lacy. Love it, love it. And here is the little inset that's going to go in the middle of the journal. And it's the pattern is after Dawn's pattern at the Book Vandal shop. And notepad, little tag slip in here. And you know, I think I changed it up a little bit on the inside, but not a whole lot. So that is going to go on the inside using her digitals and her journal cards. So I am excited. I'm putting a link down to this kit down below. She's got several purple lavender kits, and they're all a little different mood and theme, but I chose this one, Delicate Botanicals. About, I don't know, it's been a while. I bought this Reader Digest book, and it was purple, and I just knew that, you know, I was going to get some kind of purple digital to go into it. And it's well made. It was made, this is 1993, so it's, you know, it's going to hold up really well. Love the end pages on the inside, very pretty. So I am going to today be putting a cover onto this, and I'm using this printout, and this is from the Graphics Fairy. I thought that it really went well, and I want to put a frame around it. And for the frame, I'm going to use end papers that match this. I thought, well, that would be really kind of tie in the whole thing. So today, what I wanted to show you, we are going to be women with tools today. I wanted to show you using a craft knife, how I make the frame. First of all, I cut a piece of cardstock that is the size I want it, and I want this to just cover the graphic in there. So I measured it out and cut it just the size that I wanted. I put it down to chipboard, traced around the square because that's going to be the opening, and then the frame is going to be a 1/2 inch, and I just drew that all the way around, and then I cut the chipboard down. Now, cutting on chipboard, you almost have to use a craft knife now, unless you've got a real big heavy-duty cutter. And let me get my tool out here. You'll need some kind of a surface that you can cut on, and this is a rotary cutter mat, but you'll need some kind of a mat that you can cut on because you're going to be going all the way through the chipboard. This is a cheap, inexpensive craft knife. It really, I didn't pay a whole lot for it, and you can get nicer ones than this for sure. It's always good, especially when you're working with chipboard, to start with a new blade. And the way that I've been taught is you just grab the last blade on there with some kind of a plier and just break it off like that. Don't let go of it as you break. Squeeze onto that because we don't want it flipping around, and dispose of it. Now be very careful. I don't want anyone to cut themselves using the craft knife, but then you have a new one. Now, most people who've used craft knives know that, but if you're new to it, you may not know that. And here is my chipboard that I'm going to be cutting out. Now, it's best to use a metal ruler. This one has sort of I got this at Hobby Lobby, I'm pretty sure. It's just that's the name of the company, but any metal ruler would do well. This is nice because it has sort of a foam backing, so you don't do slipping with it, because slipping, you don't want to slip. So that's a really nice feature on this. And you will, and the reason why the metal is the best is because if you have wood or plastic, depending how sharp your knife is, you're you're probably going to start cutting into it, and you're eventually have little divots in there. But on the metal ruler, it just stays really nice, gives you a good sharp line. So you just line up to the little line you have there. And now the key though here is to make several passes. You don't, you just don't think you're going to go through the first time down, because you're not. And it's just best to make a lot of little passes on it. And this way, even if you don't press down hard each time, eventually you're going to break through. So see, I've cut through on that. And come over here. Now, if you want to really see, if you have trouble seeing your lines, a good thing to do is just to put some red dots here at each end, so that you get a sense of where to put your blade in and where to stop. That can be helpful. And just make as many passes as you need to break through on it. And you'll feel when it goes through. So there, it has gone through that. And so I'm going to finish cutting this up, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's say you cut it out, but you noticed that there was some jaggedy, raggedy ends, here and there. You can just take sandpaper, and this is a sanding block. I got this from Memory Keepers quite a while ago, but you can pick up a sanding block at the hardware as well. But even if you just took an emery board, that would probably help. You can just go through and kind of take out some of those raggeties a little bit. Now, you don't have to use chipboard. You can totally use cereal boxes and maybe cut it out twice and glue it together to give you a little bit more dimension. But you can definitely do something like that. And that would, of course, be super easier to cut with your craft knife than this would be. So now what I need to do now is I'm going to paint around these edges inside here and around here, because I don't think that's a very attractive color, and it would be if I had purple to match what I'm going to cover this with, but I don't. So just a dark color, like a dark brown, is what I'm going to be painting this with. So I'll be right back. Okay, I changed my mind. I went ahead and painted this white along the edges inside, and on the outside I didn't have to paint it all white on top, but it just was so small, I went ahead and did it. So I painted it white because, I don't know, somehow I felt that was better than the brown. But whatever color you think coordinates with what you're covering with is what I would paint it with. So that is done, and now this is one of the end sheets. Really pretty. I love this paper. Really will tie this in. And so on the back side, I traced the frame around here and around the outside. I traced it up, and now I'm going to cut it initially out with a cutter. And I'm going to use this one here. Now I like this particular paper cutter because if you can see, there's a, let's see if I can see. Can you see that little wire here in the middle of it? Oh, it's wonderful because you can really very accurately cut things with great precision. And I am going to line it up right with that pencil line. Just like so. And I might even go a little to the right of it. All right, there we go. This way. Just a little tiny hair. All right, and I'm going to round, and I rounded the corners of the frame as well. You don't have to do that. I just like the look of a rounded frame. And I will round these out here. And let us see, how is that going to go on the front here? Is it going to be a good match? Yep, looks like a pretty good match to me. Pretty good match. Might want to just take a hair off on this side, but that's all. Now, the reason that I don't glue the paper onto the frame and then cut both out at once is because you would have a hard time painting the edges on the inside. Now, an option to that would be to go ahead and glue everything together and cut it all out together. And then if you want to use a dark ink, distress ink, or distress inks don't really do a whole lot with changing the color. I think probably a more permanent type of ink would be better, but you could ink the edges that way and cut them both at the same time. So, you know, it's kind of up to you. This is kind of like more fussy and more detailed to cut it out this way. I'll admit that. Now we just do the craft knife again. Now I forgot to tell you that when you're done using the craft knife, each time you should pull it back in so it doesn't cut somebody. So, and then to lock it on this particular one, to lock it, you pull up on this little knob here, and this, you know, locks the blade in place. And then you push it up to move everything back and forth. That's the way this one works, and I don't know how yours will. And this is a cheap one, so I don't really think that it's anything fancy. But you can look at yours and just sort of experiment. So I'm putting some dots here again so I can see how I want to do this. Put it right on the line, and of course you're working paper. Yay! One'll do ya. One stroke will do ya. Alrighty, put the little dot down here. Now I am cutting a little to this side of the line because I can always cut off more, just in case I don't cut evenly or cut right. Gives me a little bit more wiggle room to work with. So I kind of cut it in a way that it gives me just a little bit more paper to work with. And that's just what I do. You can see how much faith I have in my ability to measure and work in numbers, right? You know? So a craft knife is a really nice, convenient tool to have, especially if you're going to be doing these inside cuts like this and you don't have a punch. This works out pretty good. I can see that. Oh, that looks good. And so voila, we have our frame all done, and our pretty botanical fits inside of there. So let me just put some glue on there and get her glued in. So I hope you'll try this. Like I say, you can use, you know, anything else besides chipboard. You can just double the layers up, you know, until you get the thickness you want. And everybody has a cereal box, don't they? Or some kind of a box that food comes in. And I think these little craft knives are, I don't know, maybe $1, a couple bucks. They're not very expensive at all. Your cost is probably going to be the metal ruler, but it's worth it. Okay, here we go. Just, oops, that might not be the way I want it yet. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Glad I chose white. I think the white is much better to look at with the background. If I had cream, that would be like so perfect, but I didn't have any cream paint. So the white kind of had to do. So we'll be putting it on here. There's a little Pegasus down here. I don't know if you can see the Pegasus. This just doesn't really go with the theme, so I'll want to cover that up. And this also comes with a journal, with a journal kit. This is, it looks like a book plate. You know, it's not, but it looks like one. Very cool, huh? And I think I'm going to be putting that up there at the top. So how neat is that? And then for the spine, you know, I'm so sorry that there's this gold foil that looks really nice, but, you know, I don't know, the titles aren't all that exciting. So I'm going to be putting down a thing of lace, like so, and then over it, I have this vintage ribbon, really pretty vintage ribbon that I got a while ago. And I'm going to be putting this down right like so. So that'll be really pretty. I think I may put this in my shop. Got quite a bit of it. So that's the way it's coming along so far. So thank you for joining me, and subscribe down below and you'll see how this turns out. Talk to you later. Bye.